Okay, we'll start again. The third ois of ois base. Vini bezi fanamanal ein binyan ha'tainuk. So we're describing a tainuk b'derech or yosher that's contained within seichel, and a tainuk that overwhelms seichel makif. Chesed is the one. Chesed b'tainuk is what is drawn down in the mind, in the heart, and gvura, which is like fire, which ascends, like the nature of the flame, that it's held back but it ascends. It's constantly in a state of flux of movement. So that is the makif. That's called the oir choizer, the returning light, as opposed to the direct light or the penetrating light or the internalized light, which is oir yosher, which is chesed. Oir choizer is gevura. That's all within tainug. That's the two levels within tainug: oir pnimi, oir yosher, chesed, gevura within tainug. That answers the question that it's not two different delights, two different addresses, two different experiences. It's one Eibishter, and it's these two experiences, aspects of the relationship. It's put in simply, but not exactly what the Maimon is saying here, is like in a relationship, there's the part of you that I understand, and there's a part of you that I don't understand, and it's all you. And I delight in you essentially equally. The parts that I understand, that I get, and the parts that I don't. So that was tainug. We explained yesterday that the union of tainug, as opposed to ava. Ava is really a decision that's born from appreciation, because this is, the mind understands that something is lovable, so you're drawn towards it. The mind understands that something is fearful, so you stay away. That's not what tainug is. Tainug is not a decision born from intellect. Tainug precedes intellect. We explained yesterday what that means at length. And that is, anybody wants to say, again, to get clear the difference between Ava and tainug? You're frozen, rather, you're hiding behind the anonymous photographs, so I don't know if you're even there or listening.
Ava is based on reason. It has a process behind it, whereas tainug is essential, the love of children or one's own life.
Okay, yeah, so just to add to that, so that tainug means that it's not a decision, because why? Essential means you see yourself there, or that talks to you. That's the expression of you. And the more it's you, the more tainug you'll have in it. And like children, you don't love children, your relationship is not because they're cute, or any other talent. So there is the inyan of ava as well, even in a relationship that doesn't need a reason for it. There's also the aspect of ava. But at the end of the day, the ava is born from an appreciation. Ava atzmi is more tainug thing. That's more rooted in tainug. Now, the two levels, just getting back to the Maimon now, so the two levels, the two aspects are yosher and chayzer that we just repeated now and defined them. So this is not just in tainug, but also in ava, because it's a chiddush. The pasuk says ava b'tanugim. So that implies that even in ava, which usually is one-dimensional, it's chesed, it's ava, gamarnu. No, since it says ava b'tanugim, and since the lashon rabim, the plural, we identified in tainug, which we explained, it therefore must mean it's also true of ava. she started to explain how it works, that Av is born from Seichel, like all Midas. Seichel is born from Tainug, and therefore, just tracing it back, since in Tainug there's the Chesed Shebetainig and Gvura Shebetainig V'lachei, and therefore, 4 lines to the top of that paragraph, Gam B'Yav Shebelev Yesh K'tzas HaOras HaTainug. There must also be, even in the actual love, which is, again, it's almost a behavioral thing in the heart, that you want to get close, there is this reflection of the Tainug component, which must mean, therefore, this duality of Chesed and Gevurah. Now, it must be rooted in Tainug, as he says, you're not going to love anything, unless that talks to you, that the thing causes you delight. Therefore, the longing and the thirst in the intensified love, what is it that draws you? Why is the love drawn there? Because you appreciate that thing is something that I would or do delight in or will delight in. So the Tainug then gives birth to the Seichel, the appreciation of it. And then the love. So it all starts with the Nekudas HaTainug, the Inyan Atzmi, then the Seichel, then the mind, the awareness, the appreciation in consciousness, and then the love is born, and the attraction, and then the behavior follows thereafter. You're going to go get it or be close to it. So that, as we just identified in the previous chapter, in the previous paragraph. So from the level of chasadim, of tainug, shi'at tainug, shebechinas oipnimi, we explained at length that that's a tainug of oipnimi, shebaba derech yosher, shemisyashe bekli ambayech, so this is a tainug that is grasped by the intellect. So then, what's it going to produce? Noel ida seichel, val yodai, so then an appreciation in the mind, val yodai noel de gamma ava, and that will give birth to the love, and it's all ba'ofen shel is yashvus menucha. It's going to be a kind of love that is settled, not fiery, but water, descending, deep, nourishing, edifying. Shezerian ava kamayim, this is in Tilim and Chassidus explained at length, the level of ava kamayim. The person's drawn to it and engages in it, and that's the union of ava kamayim, like water that descends and saturates that which it comes in contact with. In stark contrast is the following: but the gvuras of tainug, this is the tainug that's drawn from the irmakiv, because the chatchil is something that is beyond. There is an appreciation of the mind. There has to be. Everything is. But it's chayzer. It doesn't settle there. The wonder of it all and the spilus of it all is never ceasing. And it doesn't settle in the mind. So what kind of love then? So the appreciation of that Seichel appreciates why it can't be grasped. It's a key sentence I just said. The Seichel appreciates why it cannot be grasped. And therefore, so therefore it will engender an emotion. But what kind of emotion? Not a settled emotion, not an emotion that saturates, but an emotion of longing, is laivus. This is fire, the opposite of the water love, but the fiery love. Again, it's more a longing, not satisfying love, but it's a longing love that does not satisfy. It's it's there, but then more and never ending, because the chatchila understands with the seichel the bligvulness of it all and the gewalt of it all. That's understood by the seichel in the way of what? Of chayzer, in a way of not misyashiv, but gufe. The seichel understands the lack of his yashvus. So that's the ava of longing. That's the ava kerish peyesh. That's that which ultimately leads in klais nefesh, its ultimate expression, as opposed to the ava betanugim of chesed. Again, this is all 2 levels within tainug. The ava of chesed, which is the opposite mamish of the ava of fire. And ava that is understood and grasped and nourishes and satiates, just like water does, gives life. And here is the opposite madreges, the contrasting madreges of Avram and Yitzchak, all rooted in the two levels of ava, which is all rooted in the two dimensions in Tainuk. Bemis, this all corresponds to Atik and Arich. Atik removed, and Arich descending. Gvura, as you see, is higher. As we learned in the previous Maamarim, which I think I just glanced ahead, he makes reference to the previous Maamarim. Hainu, so let's see in the words of the Maimish. Avram v'Yitzchak im b'chinas Merkava. Avram and Yitzchak, respectively, were Merkava. Merkava means what? A chariot, which means, a McGill student says, a chariot? What are you talking about?
A vehicle for the transmission and expression.
Yeah, and a contemporary word to be vehicle. That's what you meant. I'm just spelling it out. A vehicle that has no will of its own. If your car starts turning in directions that you are not turning it, you're in trouble. So lemidus, so they are mekava lemidus chesed, the gevura datzilis, respectively Avraham chesed and Yitzchak to the midus of, they express the midus of chesed and gevura datzilis. Now that's not where it starts. What does all that begin? We just explained now in the previous paragraphs that itself is rooted in Tainuk. It all has to begin with the I. As we explained yesterday, it sounds very selfish, and it is by divine design to be. It cannot be any other way. It's got to be rooted in the essential self. So it starts with the Tainuk of Atik. So it's understood. So it's understood now. We're tracing back the source of everything. So he's chesed atzilus, this love that descends. Avram is all embracing and descending in Mekat of everybody, and he's a very calming and loving presence. Yitzchak is a fiery presence, and he's not traveling like water, descending lamata mata. He remains in his place, and you want God, then you got to make the journey there yourself and ascend and give up your own luxuries. That's Yitzchak. So back to Avram, Sheshorsh b'chinas chesed da'atik. So Mr. Line. So Avram is chesed da'atik, showing you the Ava Kambayim. So his is the Ava Kambayim, like we say when we just said it now, and Shmini Atzeres, chayr of, remember the Father. Nimshach acharecha kamayim, drawn after you like water. Who are we talking about? Who are we talking about? Avram, the shorshay, b'chinas chesed da'atik, so his shorish is chesed da'atik. Yitzchak b'chinas gevura datzila, so Yitzchak, which is gevura datzila, shoya av krish b'yesh, the opposite of Avram. Rish b'yesh, klisa nefesh, unsettled. And we explained why that is. So shorashim b'chinas gevura datik, he's rooted in gevura datik. She's a madrege naila yoyse, that is higher, shav shachasi b'derech erchayze dafke, and it cannot be therefore nimshach in the keli, and the keli itself understands why it can't be in the keli, the seichel. And therefore, what is it? It's a longing. It's a longing. It's Abba Kadish B'yesh. So this will answer the first question. It's Gimel. So why are we asking? Why is the pasuk saying Shem? Why is Yitzchak blessing Yaakov with Shem Balikim? The whole brachas is dafkin of chesed, dafkin of Shem Havaya. Now we understand the answer. Shem Balikim daike shubchinas hagvura, because they're talking about the of gvura within Atik. Ki gvura zu this gvura, this he's stressing this level of gvura. I mean the shayre shayin yonim. Taka, there's levels of gvura which are tzimtzum and helem. That's not what he's talking about. Here he's talking about Shem Elikim and it's Shoirish. This is Gevura the Atik, and we learned in the previous Maamar that, but from the result of all of this Gevura can be Tzimtzum and Helem and so on, so you got to be careful. That's not true all the way down the line. That's why it's so potent and dangerous. But here we're speaking, Yitzchak is being Megala the Shoirish. So here it's all Kedusha on the highest level, higher than Shem Havaya, higher than Chesed. This is Gevura the Atik, Shemisham. From there, turn the page. Nim Shechas, as we learned in the previous Maimorim, as he brings right now, he's going to say it. Hashpa b'riboy oir v'chayis b'yoyse. When the Hashpa comes from Gevura, it's much more intense than the Hashpa that comes from pure Chesed. Boifen shal tagbiris achayis. It's very powerful and intense, like the laser beam is far more intense than ordinary diffused light, dafka, because it comes b'tzimtzum. It's highly concentrated, it becomes much more powerful, immeasurably so. The drops of the Mishalim he gave there in the Maimah there, the drops of rain, dafka cause life, not sheets of water coming down. Like it says now, like we explained, like we explained in Maamar before, the Maimah of Simchas Torah, Mashiach Baruch HaMered HaGeshem, being in Gevura's Geshamim, we explained there why it's called the same, similar kasha, why it's called Gevura's Geshamim. We're talking Chesed, why is it called Gevura? Similar question, I was explaining it even deeper. That the great Hashpah comes dafka from Gevura. Isn't it interesting that the nature, think about this, anybody wants to offer an explanation. Why is it that the nature of Chesed is cold? You would think, no, the nature of Chesed is warm and loving. Why is it cold? He says, Gevura is dafka fire and warm. As he goes on to say, but Gevura is warm. But dafka the achmimus, and only when there's warmth and passion, that's when there's an intense hashpah. He gave the mashal of the tippa, another mashal in the Maimah. But why would Tevach HaSodom be Bekriris? Why is it cold? Chesed, cold? The last thing we're associated with. Anybody? It's not the first time that we're encountering this. Maybe it is. If you want to venture a possible explanation, because pure chesed, friends, pure chesed does not take into account b'chlal the matzav of the recipient. Everybody gets pure chesed is this. Is pure chesed is a person spends a lot of money making pure chesed, big bal chesed. So like we see this, and this is how it should be. He buys a whole lot of merchandise, and there's an announcement, "Everybody come and take as much as you want." It's cold. He's not getting involved in their lives when it's pure chesed. There's no effort anywhere. Just open up the coffers and take. And everybody gets equally. Water is cold by nature. That's pure chesed. But Gevura, Midas Hadin, there's a whole fire and a whole diyun, you deserve, you don't deserve, and get. Midas Hadin. Midas Hadin, fire is produced by the consumption of fuel, and that's noisy by definition. There's resistance. The more flammable the fuel, would that be the term, the less noisy, but still, there's going to be some resistance. The fire does not happen by itself. Fire, by definition, needs something else to keep it going. Chesed doesn't. You just have to receive it, that's it. Don't have to keep it going by you. But the fire needs to be fed. And that's noisy. That's chmimus. But chesed doesn't have to be fed. It's cold. Cold meaning to say, What does cold mean? Cold means to say that in every expression he's the same. He's the same. Everybody, a smile to everybody. Everybody gets equally. Your matziv is not negeya. Uniform. Pure chesed is uniform. Pure chesed is uniform. Water will find the lowest level like it finds the highest level. That treats them the same. But the whole nature of Gvur is the exact opposite. So in the context that we're speaking over here, the Ava that's understood is cold. It doesn't engender a Gewalt. You understand it. It makes sense. It's good news. And you make sense. The person is calm and he's nourished and satiated by the good news. It's nimshach. It's drawn in the Kli Amoich and the Seichel. But a good news that's totally unexpected and comes suddenly. There's the constant Gewalt. He's in a state of complete turmoil. Constantly. You can't get over it. Can't get over it. But a good news that Tzak is good news. It's in of Tainug, but it's somewhat in the realm of his experience. He gets over it in the sense it's become now part of his life, internalized and beautiful. Baruch Hashem. So the example of the lost brother, to give the two mishalim. No, help me. Give a mashal. Tom, give me a mashal of a lost brother of the first level of Tainug Yosher and a lost brother Chayzer. We have to say the first example would be that you know he exists. You know. We just don't know where. He's been trying for years to find him and putting out advertisements. The story with that wasn't the case. He's the second case here with Zalman. But in a case where you did know, you know that there was a surviving brother, and for years the person is what? Is putting out his advertisements in the newspapers in Vilna and all over the thing, the name and so on. And then one day, and there's a lead, and another lead. And then one day, the leads yield. Oh, this is a Tainug, gewaltige Tainug, and it's unexpected because it's going to happen today, maybe it never will, but it did. But then it's been Misyashiv. It'll be Misyashiv such a Tainug eventually because he built for it, he prepared for it, and it wasn't out of the realm of possibility because he knew his brother was alive. But in the case of Zalman, didn't know his brother was alive. It was not Misyashiv at all. And still not Misyashiv. Passed away subsequently. The Gewalt there, that's the Gewalt. That's the consumption of the fuel. What's the fuel here? The fuel is the self is completely consumed in this, burnt up, because hey, it wasn't about me. This is wow. Okay, each one has to think, like everything in Chassidus, you have to think yourself, find your own mishalim is the best way, check to see if they're correct, and then you'll understand it better. Only he gets va'arbe es zaroi. I will increase his seed, which explained in the Maimber of Simchas Torah. Shedavke de b'chinos shel Yitzchak pinis ha'gvuras. It's davke Yitzchak that nase va'arbe es zaroi, the intensifying of his seed. V'zeh ogam klolos ha'avodah de ki ha'shefer b'Rosh Hashanah. Shofar is all about Yitzchak, right? It's the ayil, the ram of Yitzchak, correct? That's Pashat Pshat, the simple inyan of the shofar. One of the reasons, Pashat Medish at least, that we blow shofar is to recall the schus of Yitzchak. What's the inyan of Yitzchak is Gevurah. Mituk HaGevurah, you want to sweeten the Gevurah. Sweeten the Gevurah means not the Gevurah the way it comes down in Tzimtzum Hel and Behester, but the Shorish Gevurah, which is much higher. There in the Shorish of Chesed. That's it. Want to be Mamshech on Rosh Hashanah. The Kivin Sheb Rosh Hashanah Nimshech Chidush Hashpos HaChayis Al Kol Seder Ishtal Shalus. Rosh Hashanah we're getting a renewal of the Chayis of all of existence. K'misha Kosef. Yeah, isn't this beautiful? We thought Rosh Hashanah was over. Not. Never too late. Zayim Tchilas Masecha. We say in Tfilas Rosh Hashanah and Musaf, this is the day, the beginning of your works. Zikor in the mice, the Yom Rishon, a remembrance to the first day. So he's just simply saying Rosh Hashanah is a renewal of the whole inyan of creation. So therefore you want to draw on the deepest source of it all. Which in simple language means that the whole Halam v'Hester and the Dira b'Tachtoni, which is produced by Gvura be'emes, is rooted in the deepest expression of the Eibishter L'mayla. And just another set of language to express this. Because Rosh Hashanah is the whole renewal of the Kavon of Dira b'Tachtoni. How does the Tachten happen? Oh, it happens only through Gvura. But this is Mitaka Gvura. The point of the Tachten is not the Helem, but Dafke in the bias and in the small details of the home, the Helem, but Tzimtzor. The Pasha, the small nuances of the home is expressed what? The essence of the Neshama and the essence of the Eibishter as one. As we always point out, that where's the relationship expressed? It's in the small details. That's what Gvura means, the Tzimtzum. That. It's another expression of all of this. So when we are mamtik the Gvura, which means you go back to the source and reveal the source, which is Gvura sheba'atik. So then the Ashba comes down with much more intensity than were we to draw from Chesed Atik, which we do not want because that's not the Kavan Elyon. It's not where the essence lies or is expressed. Like explains in the Maamar Rosh Hashanah in the Siddur, which the Baltakei is supposed to learn before he blows shofar. Like he concludes there in the Maimah, this is what we find. Who is the source of the blessings to the world? Him Shech Yitzchak Dafke. Dafke Yitzchak. And this is it. Shezoy Abracha Veyiten L'cha Olikim. Why? Shemchinas Gvura, the Atik, it's Dafke the Shoyresh, the Helem, the Gvura of Atik, which is in this Helem lies the essence, and that is Nisgal and sweetened and revealed down here in a revealed and open way. But, Lo Pashut, we're going to now explain, God willing, you need Esav and the hairs of Esav and the Levushim of Esav, the Cyrus, which is the question we asked at the beginning of the Maimah. It's going to be explained Be'ez Hashem tomorrow.